Welcome, everybody. John Zager. Good morning. How is everyone? Sunday morning. 56 degrees here in Colorado on the eastern slope. Sunny. Kind of some clouds moving off a little bit to the east. Supposed to be nice today, up into the 80s. And actually, we have no rain planned in the forecast for, looks like a week, 10 days out. Now, we always get a little bit of, I don't know, we get a little afternoon shower now and again, but I guess we just really don't have to count that. But thought we would have a podcast this morning about being non-judgmental, right? Just kind of thinking about that, putting that together with your immune system, and if a person is judgmental, you know what I mean? Critical, someone who has a comment about another person, seems like all the time. Someone who wants to offer their opinion or advice in regards to another on the do's and don'ts of that person. You know, judgmental. Someone insinuating or suggesting or saying, you know, I don't like this, I don't like that you're doing. He's a good guy, he's a bad guy. Didn't your mother teach you any better? That's an old one. But you got the idea, right? So, if you're judgmental, right, you're probably angry and bitter about something in the world. And your life is probably not, I don't know, maybe going down the best course that you can imagine, right? So, people that offer judgmental opinions usually have some hurt and pain going on in their life, and they figure they ought to have somebody else feel the same hurt and pain that they do. So they try to inflict that onto them. It's projection, right? Projection. I think that's kind of interesting stuff. If we're angry and hurt and painful and we want to have other people feel the same way that we feel. Not real good. What does that do to your immune system? Of course, it weakens it. And with a weakened immune system, what happens? Sickness, ill health, disease, hardship starts looking for you. You know, I guess I've mentioned a couple times in the last week or so just that they've now scientifically proven that anger can create cancer. And in a lot of cases it does. It's exactly what it does. So if we're judgmental, we're attracting some pretty unhealthy things to look for us. And that can be, you know, physical or emotional. Obviously, we already have some negative emotional issues going on if we're judgmental, but it can exacerbate that stuff and make it worse. lengthen it. The research I've been doing in the past week has been kind of interesting because it just really talks about the environment, our perception of the environment can create disease. Think about that for a minute. Our perception of the environment can create disease. So, what the articles say, actually, who is it? It's Dr. Bruce Lipton. Again, I've referenced to him many, many times. And please go and listen to all of his YouTube videos. They're just amazing. He explains things in a way that's real easy to understand. But we have like, I don't know, what do we have, 100 trillion cells in our body. Okay, 100 trillion cells. And each cell is an individual in itself. It has all the same functions that we have as humans. Just to mention a couple, it has a digestive system, cardiovascular system. It has the stuff that's the same as a human as we understand humans. All the different parts of the body and their functions, each individual cell has the same stuff. So here's the spooky part. That's like you have 100 trillion people inside of you. And the way Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about it is that you're not an individual, you are a community of people. Never thought of that one before. You're a community of people. You're not a single entity. And then science goes on to say that if some of those cells, right, individual people, so to speak, get dissatisfied with the other larger part of the community, then they go into dis-ease, disease. And that's how cancer is formed, for an example, right? And he explains this really, really well. All of the cells are not always in harmony. And when they're not in harmony, then disease, dis-ease, can occur within the body. All right? And they get in disharmony as a result of perceptions, beliefs, environment that we have. So here's a direct correlation, right? This is a direct correlation to being judgmental. By being judgmental, you are causing some of the cells to be in dis-ease with other cells in the body, therefore creating the likelihood of disease finding you. There's all kinds of diseases. I just use cancer as an example. So how many of you guys have actually thought about that? I had not. I kind of had an idea about some of that stuff, but I never had it put to me quite as clearly as Dr. Bruce Lipton did. So again, based on your perceptions, beliefs, and the environment, of course, that can put the 100 trillion cells in your body in disarray. By being judgmental, and again, judgmental is not just judgmental, but it also includes, as we all know, there's some anger in there, there's some bitterness, maybe some sadness, anxiety, depression, hostility, vengeance, things of that nature, negative emotions. And all those negative emotions you're trying to put off on somebody else so that they feel as bad as you do, all you're doing is attracting disease into the cells in your body. Fascinating, huh? So, learning to become non-judgmental is a really positive thing to do, yeah? Okay. So, sorry if I'm making a little bit of noise with this microphone. I'm trying to not have it rub against stuff. But, so becoming non-judgmental. Nobody's perfect, right? So everybody's going to have times or, episodes to where they may be judgmental. And some people may just be that way all the time. So it asks the question, how do you become non-judgmental? What are some ways that you can become non-judgmental? More so than you already are. Meditation. The research on meditation is just becoming phenomenal. There is so much information out there on meditation and its benefits. Meditation can quell, lessen all of those hostile feelings and opinions you might have of people or individuals. Meditation calms your mind. Calms your body too, by the way. But it calms your mind. The constant chatter that's going on upstairs that may be negative, it can quiet that. Here's the interesting, Dr. Joe was talking about this some time ago. he brings it up now and again because it's pertinent. And again, when you read, all of his students are able to put remarks on the internet, periodically, you just read the ones that are disgruntled and dissatisfied, as we've talked about before. Why don't I have my new Land Rover in red? Why is it not here yet? How come my neighbor's aunt who lives in Europe is not cured of her illness yet? Just stuff like that. Why do people feel like all that stuff is supposed to happen immediately? Or, for that matter, happen at all? What comes back to us from the universe is not necessarily exactly what we had pictured. If we're looking for tons of money, abundance may come back in the form of security. There's all kinds of ways to have financial security and not be a millionaire. So what Dr. Joe was referencing to, I believe, as I do and everybody else references to, is that you have to do the work. When I was doing clinical psychology for the 38 years that I was in the office doing that, people would ask the same stupid questions. And my remarks were pretty much the same thing over and over again. Are you doing the work? What's the resistance? What's the block to doing the work? Coming in here and sitting down and us having a conversation to find out what's going on and where the blocks are and how we can undo them requires that there be, some effort put out on your part that you need to go home and do homework. And if you don't go home and work on it, then I don't know, what are we doing here? I mean, I enjoy the money. Thank you very much for coming in and paying me each week, but I'm not sure you're going to get well, are you? If you're not doing the work. Well, it's the same thing with the meditation. The meditation is probably just short of miraculous. It's amazing what meditation will do. The benefits of it. I've had a podcast or two where I've gone through, a half dozen of the more prominent things, but the list goes on and on and on. So you have to do the meditation to quail that judgmental attitude you may have and to become more non-judgmental. It's a great tool. It just works. And then you have to practice it. You have to do the meditation probably every day for at least 30 days to just get your foot wet and get started. Then you have to be able to identify when you're being judgmental, and you have to stop it at that point. Change your thinking when you become aware that you're going to make or just made a judgmental remark. You have to stop right there in your mind and say, whatever the magic word is for you to not do that. not say that. And you have to do that all day long. I don't know how judgmental you may be. Maybe it's once a day. Maybe it's 20 times a day. You're going to have to stop that behavior. And then you have to, by identifying it and stopping it every day, you have to do that every day. Do that for a minimum of 30 days just to get your foot wet. Eventually what happens between, doing the meditation and changing the thought process and putting something more positive back into it, eventually you can start pruning apart those neuron connections that cause the judgmental attitude you have. Pretty simple, huh? So that's kind of the podcast for today. I think it is just, great advice, great science. Being judgmental and becoming non-judgmental, and the process you go through to obtain that, with the ultimate end result being no disease. Hope you guys all have a good Sunday. It's beautiful down here. I'm looking forward to the rest of the day for sure. God bless one another. Take care of each other. And I'll look forward to talking to you all again real soon. See you. Bye.